Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at 12870 Southwest Blue Heron Place here in Tigard. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street looking at the front of the house. We are just to the right of the front doorway. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. We're going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is currently running. We're going to zero out at the base of the cleanout access. Off we go. Sorry, I had to get real cozy with you. Alright, so right now, I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to hit a transition joint here. Oh, look at that. There's a transition joint. The reason I know that, after 13 years and about 25,000 sewer scopes, that transition joint right there is by far the most common location in a sewer line to get a belly. Very common spot. Doesn't make it a good thing necessarily, but the reason for that in a lot of cases is these two different sections of pipe are being installed at different times. You often have the developer that puts in the green pipe, and then when the builder buys the lots, they are often digging that pipe up, exposing it, and then attaching the black ABS pipe to it. In the process of doing that, it's very, very easy to undermine some soil and loosen up some of the compacted dirt that was there. So it's, anyway, they're locations where I very rarely recommend repairs. They're almost always at the base of pretty good vertical drops usually. And you can see how, I mean, this line is spiffy. These people have taken great care of it. They're not putting grease and cooking oil down the line, which is the big thing. That's the number one thing that gunks your pipe up. So anyway, one of the metrics I use for gauging whether a belly looks like it's repair worthy or not, I mean, one, I kind of have a standard where I start to consider a 5-foot section with an inch of water that's static with no water running at all is where I start to consider a repair recommendation on the belly. But at the same time, if I can't even recommend $5 in drain cleaning on it, recommending you tear a giant hole in your front yard to fix something like that is usually not something I'd jump to, unless it's significant enough or warrants it. And the worst combination is when you get, you know, a significant amount of standing water in conjunction with a joint like that becomes offset, where you have a big lip for things to run into. Otherwise, this belly right here is probably going to drain out. I'll bet it ends up only being about 2 feet long and has maybe a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of water in it. So it's the kind of belly that, you know, theoretically, yes, you could probably get something to hang up in it, but it's going to require the homeowner does a great deal to get it there. By that, I mean abusing the sewer line on a very consistent basis. Anyway, we reached the main here. We're going to go locate that real quick while the line drains out, and then we'll pull back and take a better look at everything. Alrighty, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates right out here on I believe this is Blue Heron here. I don't know if it's a private drive with some of these are no names, but I believe this is actually Blue Heron. The line is doing essentially a dead straight shot out, where I pick that locate up, lines up almost perfectly with the clean out. The line does meander a little bit, but overall pretty darn straight shot. Superbly clean sewer line right there. It's awesome. And I can tell they haven't jetted this thing because there's a water line. My camera's upside down right now. It's on the bottom half of the screen. That water line there takes a while to develop. Years. So this is just a household that looks like it's living clean as can be. Joint there is just slightly not butted all the way home. That joint's very intact there. They just didn't slam the pipe ends all the way up against each other. It's like a 32nd of an inch. No big deal. Alright, so your belly here dissipates off at about 16 feet right at the transition joint. Yeah, pretty minor little belly there. At its worst point, when you get the camera head flattened out in here, you barely hit an inch of standing water for maybe a foot of it, and then it quickly tapers off down to just about nothing there. So that's not a belly, in my opinion. It requires repair work. You can see it's also at the base of a hard vertical drop. They almost always are. Generally, you end up with this when you get that configuration of a hard vertical dive rather than a gentle gradation. In an ideal world, you don't do the hard drop, but sometimes they have to get the line around utilities. Anyway, it's a common thing that occurs when you have that configuration. They're just dropping it down really quick and trying to get it right to the level of that piece of pipe there that's already in the ground. So the belly starts at 13 feet, extends to 16 feet. Maybe half of it is about an inch. The rest of it's somewhere around 1/4 of an inch or so. So it's anywhere from 1/4 to an inch depending on where you're at. Zero buildup to speak of, no backup evidence, no blockage evidence. Right here at the very bottom, just before you hit you have just the slightest amount of staining there at the top of the pipe. When stuff comes flying down a vertical drop like that, especially a toilet flush, high volume water all at once, it'll hit the base of that and kind of splash upwards. Sometimes you get staining at the top of the pipe. It can indicate a blockage has occurred there, but that's a very common thing to see at the base of a hard vertical drop. And that little thin layer of film there is not thick enough, and it doesn't have any other debris stuck in it that indicates it was a blockage. And if it was, it looks like it happened one time, and that was it, and it broke loose after water filled up for 6 inches behind it. Just went backwards there. We're now through the foundation wall. That vertical dive we just went through there, that's the dive down as the line dives underneath the foundation wall, or through it sometimes. Looking good going backwards there too. Very clean sewer line. That's the other end of it. I like to go backwards. That's one of those things that tells you whether a line has been cleaned or not. Almost no one will jet backwards into a house. So while someone might get the outside all clean and spiffy, the interior will tell the story. This is just a house that's been treated very nicely. We have good flow all the way to the main. All the pipe we just scoped there, all of it is in good condition, has good flow, and is functioning properly at this time. And again, the belly there from 13 to 16 feet is far too minor, in my opinion, to require repairs.